Hi, and welcome to the Mental Health Madness. That is the Man Myth Podcast. I am one half of your hosts, Bobby,
And I'm the other half, Pop.
and we are here to talk about being present.
Yes. And I think the reason I wanted to do a short one on this is just because I've had some people comment about, is it that easy to be present? And how do you get to be present? And I think that's going to be a good thing for us to kind of chat about today for a short time.
I mean, I think it's getting harder and harder to be present.
It is in a lot of ways because of the distractions.
Right.
And
You have social media, you have TV, especially with us, like you have sports
right,
you start having sports every night. You don't worry about what you're doing. You're just worried about which kid do I have to get where at what time.
right.
And
And that actually in some manners is part of bringing you to the present, um, and getting into that space of how do I flow with all the activities that you have going on.
right.
It's easy for me to flow with mine. I have one thing on my calendar usually a week, so it's not so hectic. Um, but we talked about, especially in the last two episodes, uh, is or three, I guess, is there's a point where that also helps you become more grounded and less anxious. And I mean, I haven't really experienced like anxiety issues in a lot of ways. I mean, I've gotten nervous. I may have, but it just like I label it different. And I think that's one of the things also that needs to be looked at is what are you labeling? Because we're in the society of every day that something happens, it's the worst day ever. Right.
Right.
And I think if it's anxiety, it's actually there's a physiological change to it. It's not just this little
Right.
mental pressure collapse that says, oh, I'm having an anxiety. I see that with people a lot of times when they come in the office too with migraines. They come in smiling. I've got a migraine. I'm like, you don't. I mean, there are some types of migraines that aren't as painful. I had one lady that her eyes just watered like a little fountain
Yeah.
when she had
Just
her,
keep
her
going.
headaches. But generally, if somebody's having an anxiety or having some kind of issue, there has to be there's a physiological change that goes on. Heart rate
Right.
goes up, brain clouds, fogs up, those kind of things. And it also it's an urgency. It's not just like somebody
Right.
upset me or made me mad. Um, Becoming into the present, one of the best tools for that is the breath, and we've talked about the breathing. So if you breathe the box breath or find something that works for you. There's certain types of breathing that are, I mean, they're all awesome, but there's some that just don't work for people. And I think that's the
Right.
other thing that um, people go through the process. They're like, well, I can't do it. I tried it once, it didn't work. Those
Right.
kind of things. And it, almost everything we do, we have to try to do it
Right.
and do it over and do it over or change something. Um, and I think that's where we can get into the present moment more.
Well, that just kind of shows how we are as a society. We want instant gratification. We want instant. Everything has to work the first time perfectly. No, no exceptions. But like you said, sometimes being busy with the kids helps keep me in the present because I don't have time to think about what is happening tomorrow or next week, or I just know I got to do this, and this. When I get home, I'm like, okay, got to get a shower, got to get the kids ready for soccer and basketball or baseball or whatever. So you just kind of don't have time to be thinking about what happened wrong yesterday or what could go wrong tomorrow. You're just saying, okay, we got to make today work somehow.
Yeah. And that's there's a analogy that I use. It's called attenuation. It happens with physiologically with your body. And the best way to describe it is if you've had a band or a rubber band on your wrist and you feel it, you don't feel it, you don't feel it, and then somebody flicks it, then all of a sudden you realize it's there again. And or it catches, like it catches a hair or something like that, and you're like, oh,
Right.
I have this on here. That brings you, in essence, that could bring you right back to the present. And I've seen like there's theories about people wearing them, and if they get a little anxiety, they start flicking that. I don't know if you have seen that. They start flicking
Yeah,
the little
yeah.
band on their
Uh
wrist.
huh.
But that's what it's there for. It's to bring them into the present. And in the present, what happens is your everything starts to align and becomes grounded or more calm.
Right.
And it also takes away a lot of the narrative, let's say. So if you go into it, you're like, I don't feel grounded today, then do that. Make it part of your routine that
Right.
in the mornings, you might go out and there's also earthing, which is a little different. That's where you actually put your bare feet on the ground. Um,
Right.
and or there's bedding now. There's all kinds of things that you can have. But if you do something that's routinely brings you to that space, meditation's good, journaling's good. Those kind of things bring you when you're using your mind, your physicality, your your heart, and your spirit. They're all together. Then that's kind of where grounded is.
Right.
That's that point. We can let the mind go off, which is really the most ungrounding of all of the senses that we have, and just like I remember 3 years ago, I had to go to this place. I'm going there tomorrow, so it's going to ruin my day. This whole
Yeah.
the whole pattern. And if we can just go in and 3 years ago it was a totally different person. It was a totally
Right.
different
Hmm.
whatever, right? And I think that's where we can bring it back into the present moment.
Well, in a year ago, I can remember when before I was started working at this company. Sundays, I would always not have a anxiety attack, but I would always have anxiety on Sundays because I knew the next day I had to go to work. I did. I stopped when I stopped liking work and stopped enjoying it. It's instead of being something that was like, oh, cool, I get to go to work tomorrow. It was, oh no, I have to go to work tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like that anymore. I don't worry about. I'm so relaxed I forget it's Sunday because
That's cool.
I had gotten so used to being worried about Monday all of Sunday, which isn't good in any, no matter what day it is. You should not be dreading the next day or worried about the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Just get through that day and enjoy it. And
Yeah, and that's where anxiety it tries to fill up the spaces of the ungroundedness or the not being present. And I think has that has a lot to do with today and all the distractions. Like,
right,
and I've talked about this before. There's a ton of people that I've worked with that have, in essence, depression, but it's not. It's more depression because they feel like they don't have any value or they can't
right,
do anything in the world. So if it's something that says like they watch the news, they watch the news, they watch the news, and all of a sudden it's like it just depresses me. We'll stop watching it. I mean, most of it's not true anyway, right?
that's like
It's
when we used to say, "Dad, it hurts when I do that." Well, then don't do that.
yeah. I mean, the logical thing, but that's part of the way that being present it really sets you up for not being, in essence, feeling that depression or that anxiety,
Right, right,
because right at that moment it's like you have to evaluate where you are or how you are, and if you can do that, then it's amazing the difference. And the way, again, the rubber band or the breath or something like that, it engages the body so that the mind has to check and see what's happening.
Right.
And it's like, is it a hostile threat, or is it something that I need to address right now? And the body's just like, I'm just feeling, I'm
Right.
just
Just
here.
resets the brain to today instead of thinking about 47 days from now.
Yeah. Well, even more to the point, it's like right now, this moment,
Right.
because you don't want to drag, what happened this morning or what's going to happen this evening
Right.
into it. It's a smaller window of the out of balance, but the presence in this right now.
Right.
And like, if you look right over at Tallulah right now, she would ground you into the moment because you're experiencing that
Right.
in the now. If we're thinking about Sam or Samantha,
Yeah.
then it's like, oh wait, we pulled us out of this
Yeah.
moment, right?
Right.
Um, and she got tied up doing something, which is fine. We'll get to her on later, but
Yeah. We're
that's
not going anywhere.
that's how simple it is.
Right.
Now, the point is, it's not simple when you're in the middle of it,
Right.
right?
Yeah. It's
If you're
never
in the
that
middle of
easy.
an anxiety or some depression, it's not like you can just pull yourself out of it. You'll be like, oh, I remember the Man Myth podcast. They said just breathe or
Right.
snap the rubber band.
Yeah.
And, that might work. That might help, but it may
Yeah.
not. So that's why you have to find out what works for you.
Well, you almost have to train yourself to use what works for you. Like I keep looking over because I keep hearing her laugh, but I can't see her. But I know she's like somewhere giggling. She's either running away from the dog or running away from mom. So she thinks it's hilarious when people chase her. So I could hear that, and I know that giggle. So I keep looking over like I want to see it, but I can't
Yeah,
see her.
that's the thing that brings you into the groundedness. And
What?
I mean, if she was here, I'd be doing the same thing,
Yeah, it's
right?
all my kids.
Yeah,
I'm lucky that way because, I mean, even with Xander singing, when we went to see him do his play, and he started singing and he just belted those lines out, I was like, oh my god, like nothing in the world mattered or existed other than me watching him sing.
yeah, and
Like
that's
that was all it was.
I think that's a great, because we talked about, or you talked about, sometimes when you go to the games and the parents are on the phones until something happens,
Right.
and then even when that happens, they're not really present. They're just reacting,
Hmm.
right? It's just like, what happened? I gotta Everybody else is cheering. I need to cheer so it doesn't look like I'm on my phone all the time
Right.
or whatever it is, right? So being, but that's like I said, the important thing is figuring out what works for you.
Right.
And there's some, like we talked about, the rubber bands or the breathing. It could be something that is sound or something like that you could use. And I think
Hmm.
people, probably everybody's experienced this at some point, is when they hear a certain song.
Hold on a second. Sorry.
Yeah.
What? For what? Who? Megan. Megan's pregnant? Ask your dad. Megan's pregnant? Oh my. Tallulah had to have a playmate. Will you two knock it off? You're going to repopulate the world alone. This from a man who has 4 kids? Yeah. Well, yeah. Hold on. I got to call Ash real quick. Good thing we can edit. Mom came over and not opened the door and did this.
Yeah, well, of
Like
course.
I was supposed to know what that. I knew she was on the phone with Megan, but 4, I didn't know what that meant.
Did you duck?
Megan's pregnant.
Your sister?
Yeah.
No, she's not.
Ma just told me. Dad even knows. I don't know. She just told Mom.
I've known for a little bit.
Dad's known for a while, he says. We're in the middle of recording an episode, and Mom came over and said,
She already has a bunch of kids.
she's got 3. Now they're going to have 4. Yeah. We have 4. Oh my gosh. Grayson.
What?
He said, wait, wait, who's Mom? Or no, he said, which one? Who's pregnant? And Ash said, Auntie Meg's. And I guess he gave her a look. She goes, Jackson's mom. Oh.
What's that?
Danny, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. I was seeing if everything was okay.
Ioneary?
Yeah. She does like cupcakes and stuff.
Oh, well, I'm surprised she sells any of them.
Who is it?
Yeah, they got a booth.
Oh.
All right,
Cool.
I'm gonna go call your sister.
All right, bye.
All right, bye.
All right, sorry. Well, that kept us grounded in the moment, didn't it?
It did.
That's too funny. It's funny because I told you I couldn't see Tallulah, and then I look over and she's at the door knocking and waving. You know her wave. And Mom came over and I was like, I don't know what that means.
Funny stuff.
All right. I don't know what we were talking about now. It's all
Being present. A good test in that.
yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and do a close. We can just do a little pop in there.
All right. Yeah, we can. I can edit this one tomorrow after work.
This should be an easy one.
Yeah, I might leave all that in there just for fun.
Just to see what happens.
Yeah.
It's only 18 minutes.
This will be the one. This will be the one that blows
Goes
up and
viral.
everybody's watching.
After
It was
everything.
his sister's pregnant. All right, what's your close? What you thinking?
Oh, I'll just say how that did that make you feel present in the moment, or did it make you go everywhere?
The finding out Meg's pregnant?
Yeah.
A little bit of both. Like it was nice that I found out. Like I was happy to find out. Like that
Right.
brought me into the moment. But then like I feel like I'm on here. I should be on here. I shouldn't be worried about everything.
Right.
But it was still a fun moment. Like I also know that the only reason that we got interrupted is because Mom was so excited. Like it
Right.
wasn't out of malice or any kind of bad anything. She just got really excited that she's going to have another grandbaby, and she wanted to let me know as soon as possible.
Sure.
So it's just like I get that part of it. That was fun. But I mean, I don't know.
I think that's the same thing. Is like grounded doesn't have to be that point of being still.
Right.
And it can be that point where joy comes in or something like that. That's a good place to be with being present. It doesn't have to be
Right.
like I'm just going to be a robot. Right?
Yeah.
But it was an excellent example of how that happened, and I could see like you were like present. Then all of a sudden you were like, I got to talk to Ash, and then what's going to happen? That's how many kids is. There's all these things, but you were still sitting right here.
Right.
And you were going out versus bringing things to you. Does that make sense? When we're talking about being present.
Right. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I think I need a rubber band. I'll have to try that. See if that works.
Maybe 4 or 5.
Just get just get like a choker necklace of them. Just start.
Right. We'll be back into electric dog collar pretty soon.
I got an extra one now.
Don't try that at home.
Do not try electric dog collars on yourself.
That could be
That's
bad.
a PSA from the Man Myth guys.
There you go. All right. Well, you got things to do.
All right.
I
You
have
got things to do.
nothing to do.
Which I think you're probably more excited for than me being able to do this stuff.
So this is a short one, but we'll wrap her up.
All right. Just remember,
You are not broken, and apparently
you're not alone. We love you guys.
Absolutely.